Welcome everyone to the Campus Pride Spotlight Series. My name is Ayla Azim, my pronouns are she and her, and I'm an intern with Campus Pride. For those who don't know, Campus Pride is the leading national nonprofit that empowers student groups and student leaders working to create equitable, LGBTQ+ friendly college and university campuses. You can learn more at campuspride.org. Today I'll be interviewing the University of Vermont for the Campus Pride Spotlight Series. This series is all about what today's universities and colleges offer today's LGBTQ+ students, our diverse genders and sexuality spectrum. We will highlight colleges and universities that are providing services for LGBTQ+ students and highlight their programs and services. I want to introduce to you the representatives from the University of Vermont now. Thank you so much for meeting with Campus Pride for Spotlight Series. Please introduce yourself. Please give your name, your pronouns, and your role on campus.
Hi, I'm Laura Aquilera. I use they, them, and she, her pronouns, and I'm the Education and Outreach Coordinator at the Prism Center at University of Vermont.
Hi, I'm Kate. I'm super excited to be here. My pronouns are she and her, and I'm the director at the Prism Center.
Thank you so much both for your introductions. So it's wonderful to have you both here today. You have a 5 out of 5 star rating on the Campus Pride Index at campusprideindex.org, and you've been ranked among the best of the best in terms of LGBTQ+ friendly colleges and universities, so congratulations. So to start out, tell us what are some things that are on your campus for LGBTQ+ life, and specifically, what does your campus do for LGBTQ+ students that creates an inclusive space?
Absolutely, thank you. So I'd consider something at University of Vermont that's really special is our student-driven campus culture. And what I mean by that is when there's a specific community need that is missing, there are endless possibilities for students to create and curate those experiences they want to have at UVM. So specifically for LGBTQ+ life at UVM or University of Vermont, we have the Prism Center, which is the LGBTQA center on campus. And we host a variety of programs and events, specifically opportunities to bridge connections among LGBTQ+ communities at University of Vermont. We have our Fall Welcome Back, which is typically held in the first beginning weeks of campus, and it's like a welcome back to the semester. We have our Home for the Holidays event, which is a winter break send-off party or goodbye and farewell, we'll see you soon party for folks navigating winter break. And we also have our Rainbow Graduation and Awards Ceremony, which is typically a graduation ceremony honoring our hardworking trans and queer grads. We also have different programs such as Queer Community Dinner, which is a queer-centered space for UVM community to eat in community, typically centered around food. We have our Siblinghood, which is kind of like a collaboration program between our Mosaic Center for Students of Color and the Women and Gender Equity Center, as well as the Prism Center, to center queer and trans, Black, Indigenous, and people of color narratives and communities at University of Vermont. Also through our center, we have a variety of affinity spaces or different spaces that are specifically for folks with those that hold common identities. That includes trans and non-binary space, bisexual, pansexual space, and other middle sexualities, ace and arrow, just to name a few different spaces. We also have other singular and social educational programming throughout the semester. And it's always fun to see what we create each year, what students want. We also have a variety of resources that we provide to students, such as helping students navigate their name and pronoun changes in the campus systems, any housing issues that arise we can help students with, or any problems that students are experiencing in general, whether it's related to being LGBTQ or not, we are there to support students. We also have an emergency fund, a food cupboard pantry, study space for students, an awesome literature library full of amazing queer and trans literature, and a computer lab and drop-in hours for students to meet with student health services professionals and counseling and psychiatrist professionals as well. In the broader UVM community, there has been a lot going on to make an effort to center LGBTQ+ life at University of Vermont. For instance, the Women and Gender Equity Center recently went through a rebranding to go from the Women's Center to the renaming of Women and Gender Equity Center and be more inclusive. In housing, we have a different opportunities for students to engage and have like a really expansive and meaningful experience with their residential life. And what I mean by that is the university operates under a learning communities model under residential life. And all of these learning communities have the opportunity to have gender inclusive restrooms in a building that they're located in. And also students can request, if they're a first year student, to enter in the LGBTQA plus first year suite. So those are some great opportunities alongside other areas on campus, such as the Career Center, which provides a variety of resources for queer and trans graduates to pursue whatever opportunity they want to pursue post-graduation. And in the academic realm, the last thing I'll share is the Gender, Sexuality, and Women's Studies program, which centers those specific identities I just mentioned and allows students to explore those identities in a more academic experience.
Nice, good answer. Kate, do you have anything to add?
No, I think Laura covered it.
Nice. I really like the idea of the affinity spaces. All right, so thank you so much for your answer. So what example can you share that signifies the importance of having a space on campus for an LGBTQ plus student?
I think our rainbow graduation celebration is really an annual example of how important that space is. And a lot of students are there in their senior year because they've had the space to learn and grow and be their full selves and express their full selves at UVM. And so in late April or May of their senior year, when we have rainbow graduation, it's just a chance to celebrate all of that they made it. For some folks, they survived it, and for many, they thrived while they were here. And I think this question makes me think a lot about our alumni network and how amazing so many of them are, and what incredible things they can do in the world when they had a chance at UVM to be their full selves and explore different parts of their identities. And one person who's sticking out in my mind is Taylor Small, who's a really amazing woman and recent alum. She was class of 2016, I think, and she was just elected as Vermont's first openly trans legislator. So it's just incredible. Like, she's opening doors and doing incredible things in the world and for others to follow. And I think that's what's possible when people are affirmed in their college experience and their early adult life. And that's the kind of experience that our center is trying to make possible.
That's absolutely amazing. Wow, that's really cool. Oh my God. Okay. So can you please elaborate more on your campus's LGBTQ plus inclusive policies, and how do students on campus feel about such policies?
Yeah, so UVM has had some of the basic policies, for lack of a better word, non-discrimination and trans inclusive health coverage for students, faculty, and staff for many years now. And our progressive policies are kind of a mirror of what's going on in Vermont at the state level. But of course, we could always be doing better. And one thing that recently improved for us is our gender inclusive restroom policy, and that was really student driven. And students were involved in making gender inclusive restrooms more accessible across campus, figuring out what the standard is going to be for all new construction going forward so that it's a permanent change, and really making a lot of change in that area. And then something else that students have really pushed for and we've been supporting in the last couple of years is housing too, of course. So like Laura mentioned earlier, we have gender inclusive housing. So no matter what learning community you choose when you live on campus, you can have a roommate of any gender if you opt into that. And then beyond that, we try to place folks in physical spaces and housing that feel safe and supportive and affirming of their identities too.
Great answer. So, in your opinion, or in both of your opinions, why does your campus feel the need to provide spaces and resources for LGBTQ plus students?
Sure. So, as Kate kind of mentioned previously, students at the University of Vermont have this legacy of self-advocacy and activism that has demanded these kind of spaces to exist. And they've demanded for resources to be provided specifically to LGBTQ plus communities on campus. So in other words, UVM feels the need to provide space and resources simply because students have asked for it and we listen to them.
Really good answer. Again. All right. So, how do LGBTQ plus students get involved on your campus, and do you have active out LGBTQ plus student leaders across campus?
Yeah, absolutely. So, whether they are LGBTQ plus centered opportunities or not, queer and trans students are involved in so many different activities on campus. And two salient spaces on campus that are LGBTQ plus specific are first the Queer Student Union, which hosts frequent meetings and coordinates social and educational programming that is queer and trans centered, with a variety of intersecting identities and honoring those identities as well at UVM. The second more salient space also is Out in STEM, or what we call OSTEM, which is a chapter of a larger network of folks that receive support and resources, gather together in community around the intersection of being LGBTQ+, and also working or studying in the areas of science, technology, engineering, and math, or STEM fields.
Very cool. So, if a student has a problem of harassment inside or outside the classroom, how would it get remedied?
That's a really great question. One of the ways that we address this on our campus is with our bias reporting forum and our care team. So in the Dean of Students office, there's a team of people who are pulled from around campus to respond when bias is reported. And it's really easy to make a report. There's an online form. There's also a number you can call, or you can talk to someone on the team. So it can be anonymous, and it depends on the nature of the incident, but they'll follow up often, and anyone can respond. So if you witness bias happening, you can be the one to report it. And if it's happening to you, you can be the one to report it. And they'll follow up with you, kind of based on what happened and what your relationship is to the event that happened. But they'll take it from there and make sure that the folks involved have advocacy if it has to rise to the level of involving campus police or the AAEO and Title IX office, or if further steps are taken. And then depending on how they need to respond, there's restorative practices and other things that they do to have a response to what happened.
Really comprehensive answer. So how is your campus supporting LGBTQ plus students across their varying intersections of identity?
Yeah, I really appreciate this question, so thank you for asking. The Prism Center specifically has two different examples of how we address intersectionality and honor intersecting identities that one can experience that shape their campus experience, essentially. So the first, like I mentioned before, is affinity spaces, which are kind of, like I said, identity-specific spaces to connect with others who hold similar experiences. We also have Siblinghood, which is kind of like a space that originally was created out of two other groups that existed, one being sisterhood and one being brotherhood, and they're realizing students asking for this space of wanting to center QT, BIPOC, or queer and trans, Black, Indigenous, people of color, people on campus. And so it's not a affinity space exactly, but it's a more QT, BIPOC centered space, usually centered around food as well. And it's a collaboration between our Center for Students of Color, the Women and Gender Equity Center, and Prism. Also, we just love to collaborate and try our best to collaborate with a variety of identity centers on campus and other entities as well, just to allow further opportunities to honor that intersection of identity. Two examples of that are all the identity centers on campus actually have food resources or food pantries located in their physical space for students. And I think that that is really important when thinking about who is most affected by food insecurity and how do we address the intersection between identities that fall within that population as well. And secondly, we also, as the Prism Center, host drop-in hours, typically with queer identifying practitioners from the counseling and psychiatry services and student health services departments at University of Vermont. So for instance, we have the opportunity to honor that intersection between one's mental health and physical health identity and the other identities they hold as well.
Really good answer. I really like the various ways that the University of Vermont in particular is addressing so many different intersections in so many different ways as well. So social justice, equality, and equity are constant journeys of progress. So what's on your campus to improve within the next 2 to 3 years?
This is kind of a hard question to answer, but also a really exciting one. I think, who knows what the next couple of years will bring. Hopefully we'll be back in person, fully in person soon. But I know one of the big changes that we just went through is the Prism Center got its own dedicated space on campus, and we're super excited about it. We had previously shared space and we had great neighbors, but the space wasn't our own. And now we're in a space where students can really take over and make it theirs. And so settling into that is, I think, going to be a big part, and just seeing like what's possible now that we have like large rooms where students can gather and clubs could meet and affinity spaces can have their meetups, and we can do programs in our space. So we're just super excited about that. And we also, ironically, we have no closets in our new space, but we want to have a clothing closet of gender affirming clothes that, folks can bring stuff or take what they need, so that their closet is affirming of them and they have what they need, whether it's for a job interview or just to feel comfortable on campus. So we're excited about getting that set up. And then one of my long-term goals for the campus is just to get better and better about the data that we have about students, and really, like, we think really amazing, wonderful things are happening for queer and trans students on campus, and we want to back that up with our data. And we know we have room to grow, and we want the data to show us like where we need to do that, in addition to what students tell us, anecdotally and day to day. But having that information about our campus and our culture and community is really important.
Really good answer. Yeah, having long-term data can really definitely help with campus improvements. So what is the queerest or most LGBTQ plus aspect or thing about your campus?
I found this question so interesting, but I will say, I don't think there's one queerest thing about the UVM campus, because there are so many different embodiments of the term queer itself that manifest on campus. I will say that. And something special about UVM is that students truly have the chance to define themselves and affirm their identities in the ways that feel best for them. Whether it's getting highly involved in LGBTQ plus specific or centered programming opportunities, or just choosing to have those conversations about identities with your social circle, UVM offers endless opportunities to explore and affirm one's identity and self.
That was a really good answer. No campus has given such an answer. It was really good. So what are 3 words that you would describe for your campus for an LGBTQ plus prospective student?
Infinite.
possibility,
evolving.
Really cool. So please share for those watching on your website to learn more about LGBTQ plus life on your campus. So again, thank you so much. Campus Pride appreciates your hard work and your continued efforts to create an inclusive space for LGBTQ plus students to learn, live, grow, and most importantly, to thrive at the University of Vermont. It's been such a pleasure interviewing you both today, and your work makes a positive difference in so many lives. Thank you so much.
Thank you. It's been such an honor to be part of your series.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. So thank you for watching the Campus Pride Spotlight series. If you wish to learn more about this campus or any other college or university, you can search for free at Campus Pride Index online at campusprideindex.org. That's campusprideindex.org for over 400 plus colleges and universities that have come out as LGBTQ plus friendly. Again, my name is Ayla, and thank you so much for watching.